Yeah, and we'll have to see because I also know that Pingu is more than comfortable on playing that Viper 5 as well. If they really needed to kind of hedge things, move things around, I hope they don't do that just because the Viper 3, that's its home. That's where it kind of feels like it needs to be, but that's also where they certainly need to start setting it up a little bit more here. And I think, again, they won a lane. They should win this lane. The Vipers should be able to get a little bit of an advantage early on. We just need to see them actually press it for everything. Also, wouldn't be surprised if we see the Viper going mid of all places, just because Nico's that scary a player. You want to win a lane versus him, and I think that's where, unfortunately, Shinra just was never set up to do so. It's just that matchup is so bad. If they can get him a better lane as well, I think it's only looking up for Felt in this draft.
I mean, it's not going to take too much for them to be in a better situation than they were in game one, just because of how one-sided that game was. But you want to see them push that further forward here, because I don't know, game one just was not fun for Felt. Surely 5RATFORCESTAFF, if they were asked about it, would have a maybe slightly different opinion. But you want to see, I think, something a little bit more competitive here. If we just get a couple of 2-0 sweeps, then maybe it's what was expected, but it's not always as much fun.
Yeah, and I mean, I hate to say it, but I would be very interested in seeing what Dog Champ do versus 5RATFORCESTAFF if hypothetically 5RATFORCESTAFF win this series, hypothetically. But just because we get that clash of the best of Div 2 going up versus the relegated of Div 1, that's always just an interesting matchup to me, just to see what it takes to be on top versus what you learn from being on top. It's always just an interesting, I think, dichotomy that we do get to see with the DPC system, a DPC system that has its own issues, but another topic for another day. But that's where bandwise though. Hey, Felt on the money. I think CK or Medusa would have broken their backs here. I think giving DNM that type of hero would have been just brutal for them, but also making space for that Nico Invoker ban. You just don't give him the hero that's going to be in between your lanes. He's so obnoxious. I think that's where the Queen of Pain just slotted so nicely into his hands. And of course, he has a very historied Queen of Pain player, but just not giving him those heroes that can just move so freely. I mean, it feels like three of those bans are just right on the money for Felt. The Pang of the Storm and the Invoker just need to lock down that player as much as you humanly can. I mean, he's just that much of a beast.
In the meantime, kind of interesting looking on the back end of that phase two for 5RATFORCESTAFF ban wise, the Axe and the Sand King being taken away. So you alluded to at ET the fact that the Viper could be moved in position, and 5RAT are leaning more towards that being the case from their opponents here, because if they were sure that the Viper was just going to slot into that position 3 role, I don't really think the Axe and the Sand King bans present all that much of a threat. As boy, 5RAT definitely just sort of running it back here as they take the bane for themselves.
Yeah, and really, I was considering whether or not Felt were going to feel as if the Bane ban would be necessary because, of course, AP1, that's his shtick. If the Bane was banned, I can almost assure you he would have picked up his Abaddon instead because he kind of plays a few heroes. He's very good at those heroes, and he's shown his stuff in the DPC season. But he certainly can be limited if he is ever banned out. But of course, then you just let so many heroes through. So it makes sense why I think they don't give him any love. But I mean, it worked beautifully in the first game. It's going to work beautifully in this game. And okay, there's your Abaddon. Not a bad choice. Another Abaddon versus DK, and another hero that should win his lane. I feel like Fel can hear me right now.
Yeah, that Razor really hadn't been touched, hadn't been picked for sure, and I don't think it was banned out in any of our previous games either, even the one that did feature that Viper too. So, well, like you said, trying to win their lanes here. Now maybe start to wonder what they're doing with the Tiny and the Razor. Both could play the carry position, but at this point, I guess the Tiny's really the only one who could move to that 4 role.
Yeah, it's a little awkward. And of course, when you talk about Tiny and fort position nowadays, you almost hope that doesn't happen just because, of course, he's such a limited hero in that regard. But I kind of like the Viper Tiny lane, not gonna lie, just because, of course, you've got the additional magic damage coming from the Nether Toxin. You've got the toss back if they do start getting away from you. He kind of fills that supplemental support role that Viper loves, where he's kind of like a Tusk, he's kind of like an Earth Spirit. He's just a worse Earth Spirit, honestly, is probably the most or the easiest hero to like in him too. But I think that's probably where we're gonna see this kind of heading, unless they have a very free mid lane in which they could just put him in another core position. But Naga is a very nice pick, and that's your counter versus the Viper. We're getting forcing moves from both of these teams. The Razor pick makes you question whether or not the DK is going to be forced into that off lane, if they're okay with losing that lane that hard. Now the Naga Siren says, do you want to put the Viper versus me? Because, well, I'm Naga Siren versus Viper. That's not a pretty lane. You're not going to really be able to do anything versus me. It's just a ton of forcing moves here, I think, from both sides. You gotta kind of favor 5RATFORCESTAFF though, because at the end of the day, a DK getting griefed early on, you're kind of okay with that. A Naga Siren, though, getting a free game, that's a little bit more concerning if you're Felt.
Right. And as of right now, Felt's lineup doesn't really feel like they've got the tools that they're going to need to harass or slow down a Naga Siren. So 5RAT are okay with that sacrifice. I mean, they did it in the previous game, putting Little Nick onto that Dragon Knight. So not be too much of a sacrifice to ask him to do it again. But on the Felt side of things now, what is your sort of trump card here? They're focusing on the middle lane with the ban, so they are fairly certain, or at least willing to take the risk that the Dragon Knight gets shifted again. But at this point, what hero do they really pick up here to sort of address some of those concerns? The Leshrac is going to be the answer for them. So, well, not a bad choice, I suppose. It's just, I'm looking at the 5RAT sort of side of things. They've got a lot of lockdown here. If your Lesh gets too far forward, it just gets sort of stunned up and taken down.
Yeah, and we do see Abaddon plus the Leshrac, so again, we'll have to see what we actually lock in here. Felt have a lot of counter picks they could go for if they really need to. But Afrobush is going to be on the tiny. So yeah, it is going to be, I think, that situation where it's going to be a 4 tiny. We're probably going to see that Viper end up going versus, I want to say, the Ember Spirit, and then they switch. I think that's why they're not slotting in, honestly. I think that's what they're talking over, because they probably want the Viper versus the Ember and then the Leshrac versus the Naga, because even though it's not going to be nearly as pretty, and no, okay, they're not going to do that. They're going to sit in their lanes, and I don't know if I agree with that
Hmm.
decision. This is gonna be a little bit scary, I think. And sure, you're gonna be playing a ranged hero versus a melee hero in that mid lane, but I don't know. It just doesn't feel great. I think 5RATFORCESTAFF are pretty happy, and if they get draws in their lanes, they're coming up aces. I think Felt they're really gonna need to be resting on their laurels here. If they have a very good laning stage, they need to kind of out mechanic their opponents at this point. I think that's kind of where we've headed with this draft.
And I don't know, this just feels it's different from game one in terms of maybe some of the heroes that have been picked, some of the styles like that. But in terms of the way that we're sort of looking at it from the two teams head to head perspective, it kind of feels like 5RAT4 are in a similar position where they're gonna get to do what they want, whereas Felt are the ones who have a maybe more convoluted game plan.
Yeah, and talking about convoluted when it comes to their actual tools, when it starts to get into these team fights, everything is really messy. And I guess that's the one thing that 5RATFORCESTAFF doesn't really have any better on their own side. Is these team fights are going to be bodies slamming against bodies. Nobody has a good way to get in or out of these fights aside from the Ember Spirit. It's where I think DNM with that Song of the Siren, he could be the one to stop everything. It's just where Felt have such a low lockdown lineup, and again, it's where you wonder if this Tiny is going to be enough, because he's their initiator. He's the only one that can really go in aside from a Yule's timing on the Leshrac. How they start fights is by running at their opponents, and it's a strategy that, can really very easily be picked apart. And I think that's where they just need to be successful. If they find their kills, they can get something, but they miss out, and then it's a lineup that heavily falls behind.
Yeah, very much hit or miss here. And to be fair, I mean, Afromash could just be that guy. He could be entirely successful at what they need him to do here, but there's a reason that position 4 Tiny is really not as popular as it was in times past, because it's harder to be consistent with that hero. And when he's the only one that you really have to initiate, I don't know. I mean, we wish all the best for Afromash in this game in terms of pulling it off, but it's not going to be easy.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned, but I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful. I'm excited. I am glad to see another offlane Viper, as Speed, already said in our interview. Love the hero, love the green fella. He's a very cool guy. But We'll have to see. Solji needs to rock his lane, and he should rock his lane versus the DK. It's why Nick is starting Boots Quelling Blade of all the starting builds. He's really trying to have that movement speed advantage as long as he can. I think how they play versus the DK and the Enchantress is going to set the entire pace of this game. And yet again, as we saw in the previous series, this Leshrac hero, if he starts losing his lane, he needs time to recover. He needs space to farm, but once he gets it, well, he can get onto those towers still. That's one of the facts. You are going to be rolling these tier 1s. It's pressure that will happen eventually. We just need to see him get those items because his items are just absolutely crucial in this game. It's the way they start. It's the way the game begins, you could say. And with the game starting, we do see lane swaps. The Viper's trying to go versus the DK. This is nice.
Send Zor up to that top lane here. We'll see if 5RAT catch on. I don't think they really have figured out that this is happening just yet, so Little Nick may be in for a surprise once he hits the lane itself. In the meantime, Giant still sort of sticking around down bot alongside the Bane, so not sure if this is a tri-line setup that they actually want to commit to, or if he's just waiting to see who goes where before they start shifting people around. But now they know. Solji is here. And, well, the Dragon Knight, yeah, he's not having a whole lot of fun right now. Needs some backup as Giant TP's in to help.
Yeah, and honestly, this is a really nice play from Felt. This just means that, well, Little Nick's starting build isn't nearly going to be as effective. Still going to be good for running away from Zor and maybe fogging him to stop that 5th poison attack hit from actually landing, but this is a nice start, I think. And now, I think the most important thing is whether or not Afromoosh can keep everything gummed up, can stop these. He's done a really good job of blocking these first 2 camps, and yeah, get aggressive on the Enchantress. Stop him from having a nice game, but that's the threat. The DK stun, and then just walking the ranged hero back to the tower.
They were close to getting that one, but that's a nice play from Nick, as you were sort of pointing out. The second he sees that that play happens, he doesn't go to Giant. That's not going to help. He doesn't go for the Tiny. That's not the play. He goes straight to the Viper and stuns him up, and honestly, they take the better of that trade. I mean, in terms of regen, they are starting to burn through that a little bit, but the Viper has to sort of back off for a moment while Zone Tangos get him back up.
Yeah, and this is not a nice position to be in. You have a lot of base damage on, of course, the DK, as we always talk about, and with the Quelling Blade, it's very easy for you to deny here, and this is kind of nice. Zor's taking a lot of these creeps under tower. Once he hits level 3, that's Viper's first power spike, where you have that level 2 poison attack. It's where usually a solo kill can occur, but at the same time, with all of these creeps blocked or pulled or kind of messed with, once this wave pushes in, it'll push out towards Nick. And then, of course, we talk about DK in the same vein, except defensively. Once you kind of hit level 3 or 4, then suddenly you can't be poked out of lane. You are always going to be a threat. This is nice, though.
While down in the bottom lane, Albino Zebra and Pingu have been trading a lot of damage here in the early stages, just trying to get a little bit of extra breathing room for their respective cores, but they're not really ever going to receive a lot of backup here, right? Solji and DNM should really just be focused in on last hitting and not really going for any fights. DNM doesn't even have any point in the ensnare, so there's not a whole lot he could do. Because up in the top lane, Giant going to get himself caught out. Zor gets that first kill, and well, the power of the Viper lane starting to rear its head.
Yep. Viper Tiny, I think it was just a simple toss back, easy kill for them, you know, but you look at this monster wave pushing into Nick, and I'm almost positive Giant isn't too upset, and he's also filling up Nico's bottle, gives him the cell. Look at such a nice support player, you know, fixing the mid lane. You love to see it.
Oh,
actually, no way.
Are you serious? Shinra
no
just
way.
did not respect the damage of the Ember. 2 points in Slight, 2 points in Chains, and I mean, credit to Nico. That's a nice play. Good job from Giant to sort of top him off, but that's a play Shinra really should not give up there.
I mean, and before that point, he was bullying Nico. Nico could not walk up to the wave. He was kind of without anything for the longest time, and hopefully they can split the bounties here and then lock this Ember Spirit out a little bit more. Does he dodge the Earth Spike on the rune?
Oh, and he still got the root.
It's just that easy.
Giant comes in for the damage. Afro just... okay. Better safe than sorry. Tosses his teammate out just in case, but... boy, in the span of 30 seconds, all of a sudden, the nature of this lane kind of shifts a little bit, with Nico getting the kill, and Shinra losing a pretty substantial amount of health trying to contest for the runes.
Yeah, and this is where the poke from that sleight of fist really gets obnoxious, and it's where, well, if you're Shinra, you'd hope that you're level 6 and you could just kind of push out the wave, but being forced to lane actually versus this Ember Spirit for this long, it just kind of sucks, but it's something he's going to have to contend with. At least he got a water rune of his own, but yeah, this is just constantly going to be trades, and trades that Nico will win, because once he gets Remnant, he gets the reset. The Leshrac doesn't get anything else, but yeah, top Centaur, as easy as that. The creeps, Giant always finds a creep no matter what. It's just impossible to shut him down entirely.
Over on the other side of the map, Felt attempting that 3-man gank. They got a very nice toss back onto DNM, but they used all of their lockdown. DNM just TP's back under the tower, and he's going to be okay. So if you're Felt, that's sort of that's a double whammy. You bring 3 heroes bot, you don't get a kill. That already kind of sucks. But then that rotation left your Viper alone, and he gets taken down. So those are the sort of punishing moves that 5RAT were showing us all throughout their DPC run, and in that first game as well, they're continuing to just sort of poke and prod and find those weaknesses here in game 2.
Yeah, and it's a much slower start. It's definitely not the same bombastic, 7-9 kills. And unfortunately, Giant doesn't get a hill troll in time for the 5-minute cart wave to come. But at the same time, he's just been so freed up. Okay. Oh, the toss. I think it dodged out. That's unfortunate.
They connect with that. Maybe that turns into a kill. But as it stands, Nico, maybe a little too greedy. He's going to back off. Shinra thought about the stun, not going to actually go for it. But they're still kind of pushing their way forward. Maybe they can get something on a Giant instead. There's going to be the toss, and okay, they do find themselves a kill. Nico is going to walk away, but if you're Felt, you just needed something there, and they at least find the one.
Yeah, and not bad. It's those picks and those kills under Giant early that they just need to keep on getting by bringing, I think, more numbers. And at the same time, without Giant being top, it's a terrible lane for Nick still. It's a lane that they're okay with losing, as I think they were prepared to lose it, regardless of whether this was going to be the Razor or the Viper. But if they can shut down the counterplay that gets made by the Enchantress, it's where Felt start winning a few more of their lanes and things start to look a little bit brighter, I think, for them.
Zor, I mean, you're not going to find him complaining about this. He gets to go solo against a DK and just sit there and really do whatever he wants. Although with Giant coming back, maybe he has to be a little more careful. Uh-oh. Okay, Lil Nick popping the Dragon Form, gets down the stun. They've got the Wild Wing Ripper in there for a little bit of extra damage, and Zor should be going down. Lil Nick keeping his distance there, doesn't want to get taken out by the DOT, and well, yeah, once Giant's back in, all of a sudden that lane's really not fantastic for the Vipers. He gets taken down, and his second death here in the game, so his progression is getting slowed up maybe a little bit. And over on the other side of the map, okay. Counterplay onto the Bane, perhaps. Can they actually get the kills? Albino Zebra's not going down all that quickly. May not be going down at all here. He's back under the tower. Solji is diving pretty deep for this. Doesn't get the last hit off, though, and now he's trapped. He's under the tier 1. Nico TP'd in. This is just a complete and total bait. I don't think it started off that way, but that's what it turns into. Albino Zebra TP's away, probably just laughing his ass off in his chair, but that, you can't go all in and miss that kill. That's just all it is for Felt.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate if he maybe had a third point in static link, and I know that's not what you do. You don't want it, but he just ran out of damage. He gets fogged. He doesn't have any follow-up. And now DNM, though, this might be the perfect setup. I think he might actually go down here. No song, no way he survives that, but how they turn these picks into objectives, it's always the question with this Leshrac hero. Whether or not you can actually get the game kind of in that decayed state where the buildings are gone, you don't get those fast TP reactions. Honestly, the most I'm upset about right now is just Felt having this one lane top and then not really able to do anything with Zor. If one hero was with Zor, they'd get a kill on the DK. They'd get a kill on the Enchantress, but it feels like, again, he's the one under pressure, and whether or not they bring support is yet to be seen.
They commit for this fully. Nico's here. They're going to go for it. There's going to be the Searing Chains. The stun comes out from the Dragon Tail. TP way too late from Afro. Or maybe not. They are making a fight of this, and Lil Nick, okay, gets traded out, 1 for 1, but now Nico has a second target, getting in onto the Tiny, hitting him up with the root, a little bit of extra damage in from that Satyr. That's going to be a double for your Ember Spirit. So the trade, nice for Zor on an individual level, but the 2-for-1 there is very much 5-rat favored.
Yeah, at the very least, no XP wasted. The posthumous kill does go the way of the tiny, at least XP wise, but it's still just not ideal. You're giving Nico a lot of farm, you're giving him a lot of recovery.
Uh-oh.
His net worth is just barely behind, but
Zor
okay.
TP'd back in.
Yeah, this is a risky play. He's stamping his feet in the ground with 4 heroes immediately coming back to him. If he walks around this tree line, he's just dead.
Oh
Oh
boy.
no.
They do sort of stack up a little bit there with the root and the stun, but it's not going to matter. Zor's still dead. Nick, eh,
Completely fine.
yeah, DOT is going to sting a bit, but he's A-okay, and that's, as you said, stamping his feet in the ground. That's not always a good thing, though. That goes from, perseverance to just sort of stubbornness. But mid, they are trying for a counterplay. DNM is unbelievably low, and they did bring him down, but now Nico looking for some revenge. They find the first kill onto Pingu. They're going to try to get onto Shinra as well, but with Solji coming over, I think he's going to be able to cover for his teammates' retreat, and that's going to make that trade look a little bit more favorable. You do still lose one, but the counter kill into DNM certainly going to be much needed for Felt.
Yeah, it's just the trades being made, and really just watching DNM, and it is DNM just kind of taking the aggression of 3 or 4 heroes. Felt they know that the way they lose this game is if he gets too farm. If the Nagasiren gets too many levels, gets too many items, then this game is certainly rough. And now Nick, it looks like it might be his turn. Yeah, there's absolutely no way he gets to survive here, and the offlaners just don't want to be alive in this game. You know, they're constantly getting picked off. But hey, that's where at the very least Nick is rushing his blink dagger. He's going to be able to have it in not even 700 gold.
Ooh,
Again though, toss.
okay. Giant? I'm not even sure
Super
they need
dead.
that. Ooh. They're able to take him down. Here comes Nico, though, in with the Searing Chains. It's going to disrupt that, but unless they want to bring DNM over, there's really not much of a fight. And at this point, DNM does not want to get involved. He really can't. You take a look at his item progression. That's really not fantastic for him. Yasha just finished off, so I suppose in an emergency situation, there's a little bit of damage he can do, but he still has no song. He still has no ensnare, so, I mean, emergency sort of is the operative word there. If they can get away with him not being involved in the fight, they'll take it every time.
Okay, and saving a skill point, being a very wise Naga player in case he needs the song or the ensnare to barely break a TP, but they really want to get on this mid tower. That's Felt's next objective. That's why Zor has finally moved his way over to the mid lane, and the reason why he defended top so long is just because he knows that's where Little Nick is going to get his blink dagger. If that tier 1 falls, it's almost assuredly enough net worth for him to actually start making those plays around the map, but in the meantime, we're getting that same feeling of cores stepping on each other's toes. The Viper's farming mid and the Leshrac is bouncing between lanes. At the very least, Felt has a lot to farm here, but that's where top, the Tiny with the empty lane, just gets gripped. AB1, just Pingu just barely not in the right spot.
They certainly don't get that kill quickly, but they get the kill. And regardless of the speed, if your two supports can go bully anyone anywhere on the map, we'll sort of take that as an advantage. Meanwhile, Nico, well, Wild Wing is sort of scouting out for him a little bit here, and got a nice little pullback onto Pingu, but I don't think this is a fight Nico wants by himself, but he's not by himself. Here comes Giant, rotating in. They get the root down onto Shinra, and Shinra's just going to get taken out. Zor trying to push his way in. Maybe he can do something here, but Nico's just going to jump to the Remnant, and doesn't really seem to be much of a play for them, although Afromash, okay, tries to get forward with the Tumbler's Toy, eats a Dragon Tail to the face, but they're still going to be able to get onto someone. Giant, though, they kill him, but that's not exactly the high-value kill that they were hoping in exchange after losing their Lesh.
Just an unfortunate trade. And again, a trade made with net worth going into what feels like the right hands, because now you have Blink Dagger. You have the tools, I think, if they wanted to spark another fight. The problem is, without the Enchantress, they actually are missing a lot of their early game damage. We might see a smoke up probably after Giant respawns, but then anyone is under threat. And I think, especially if they could find Solji in the bottom lane, that's where they would want to smoke to. And I think that's where Nick is very easily set up here. At the same time, every minute this mid tower stays here, and I can only imagine that with this next item picked up by Shinra, we should see a little bit more aggression there. They're just giving a lot of space. This mid tower is basically an outpost for DNM to send his illusions out onto the map, and with him having that protection, there's no easy way into the triangle. Felt don't really have that opening, and the only way they really do find that is probably from a blink dagger from the Tiny, but that is eons away.
And that is one of the downsides here. The position for Tiny just doesn't have any farming priority right now, so be able to pick that up anytime soon. Meanwhile, the smoke play into the east side jungle, not really going to hit onto anything, but Giants got a couple of sentries, so could try and maybe block up a camp or two, try and take some vision away, but instead they're just going to back themselves out, and over on the other side there is a counter smoke play that's really, it's actually not going to go anywhere. I thought they were going to push their way forward, but they're a little bit hesitant to cross the river right now.
Yeah, I'd be scared too. I think they should be pretty aware of Nick's build. Whenever you don't finish the treads on DK, Nick really hasn't built that many items, and I think that's where we could see them kind of balance out and go into a farm. And something that they didn't really accomplish with their smoke into that dire triangle is they didn't place wards this time around on 5RATFORCESTAFF. They're instead saying we want to prioritize our defensive vision. We want to keep this top area as safe as possible. And with the Felt heroes actually being the ones rotating back towards mid, DNM kind of passively gets to claim these towers. And honestly, the concern now is going to be the Naga Siren. DNM can certainly still die if the Lesh can find his way onto him, but without really any, I want to say, easy tool to make that gap close. We even see AB1 just being, as I like to say, the human ward. He's just kind of being a body in front that really leaves no opening. DNM just continues to make this really easy farming transition.
It's kind of interesting, you know, a few minutes ago we were talking, yeah, DNM had just finished off the Yasha, but didn't really have much more, so didn't really want to get him involved, but just finished off, making progress now towards a second sort of major item, and no real significant pressure is being applied by Felt, not to any of the cores, and as you mentioned earlier on as well, not to any of these towers either. This is bad. They're not pushing with a Viper and a Leshrac. They really do need to try and take control here, because, well, if they don't, I mean, Solji's not going to outfarm a Naga Siren. That's just not how Dota works.
Everything is going to boil over after Aframoosh gets this Blink Dagger. It's going to be Blink Dagger on top of Razor BKB timing, on top of Shinra having most of the components of his, yeah, he got his Kaya Sanj actually already. But that is going to be what kind of gets this game going, and I think if Felt don't have an out-and-out success with that timing, the game is looking very sketchy, I think, going forward. It's why I think they're set up in the bottom lane. They want to catch Aframoosh, but the Blink Dagger's coming. It is their time to shine. If they were ever going to be aggressive, now would be it, but they're just caught up too far forward. Zor in the mid lane, he's going to go down for free, and now the timing is delayed another 30 seconds, 44 seconds, and again, this is the concern. They want revenge. They want to kill mid. They want to make a play, but it's just not coming. They need something more.
Good news, at least, is that Solji's able to sort of clear through that creep wave, but I'm not sure that's even really going to matter. Getting those skeletons in there, a new creep wave is coming up behind them. They're going to force
Tiny.
out the glyph. Now is their moment. TP'd in, Blink Dagger at the ready. They know that the Fiend's Grip's not available because it was just used on Zor. Of course, they don't have Zor himself for about 10 more seconds, but this could be that opening for them, but do they take it? Are they willing to show that sort of Blink Dagger off? Are they willing to take that risk? Right now, it really seems like the answer is no. Even with Zor back in, he's going to TP himself mid, but by the time he gets here, the party's kind of over.
Yeah, just not able to make something out of nothing, and I think 5RATFORCESTAFF very wisely back off. They're not going to overextend, and again, every minute is time. It's time in net worth, and DNM's next item is Killer. That's your moment where you might see this Naga Siren show up to a fight. It's where once you get that Scotty slow, I mean, we don't need to talk about how great Scotty is versus Razor, Viper, Leshrac, Tricore. I mean, it's just going to be an impossible team fight at that point. And I think that's where, again, it's either a smoke, it should be in the next few waves. We need to see aggression coming in from Felt's lineup. Otherwise, this is feeling like murky territory that they're heading into. into. And it starts and ends with this mid tower, but they only feel comfortable enough to put Zora up front. At the very least, he's got the Ag Shard, so damage is finally being done, but here comes 5RATFORCESTAFF. This is the fight they want, though.
Afromash, okay. They're going to get in onto Albino Zebra first, quickly blowing up the Bane. That really is going to be it. The rest of 5RATFORCESTAFF, two sort of split up across the map, so they find a kill, they find the tower, finally getting that objective down, and maybe that can open up a little bit more room for Felt to operate with in terms of further aggression.
Yeah, it's got to be quick game plan. This is exactly what they need to do. It needs to be mid into bottom tier 2. They need to kill the rat, though. They can't let Nick cut another wave, and actually Nick's going to be the one to kind of ease up here, kind of wisely so. But they need to have this game plan rolling now. They cannot let the ball stop. If it was a team fight, if they go too deep for a hero and they get punished for it post BKBs, this is where they are at their strongest. They are 100% stronger than 5RATFORCESTAFF right now. They just need to be the ones initiating everything. They have to be happy going into every single trade. Unfortunately, 5RATFORCESTAFF are very wisely already making the split push decision, and they're also getting vision of this Razor. A little bit scary. He's very tanky. I don't think they could necessarily burst him before BKB gets off, but that's where the smoke is very, very smart. On the Arcane Rune, that'd be a big pick. Oh!
Just able to jump, and now, yeah, they know if that many heroes are moving up the river, it means Solji is alone here. They get the Fiend's Grip down onto him, so the BKB, well, it kind of protects him. He's not dead yet, but Nico doesn't want to give up on the play. Fiend's Grip, or excuse me, not Fiend's Grip, Side of Fist coming in will allow him to finish that off, but now Nico has to get away, very low on HP. He's able to TP out, but his teammates weren't quite as fortunate. They have to sacrifice the supports there. Giant and Albino Zebra taken down, but you got the kill onto the Razor. You forced out a BKB charge, and you didn't lose any cores at least. But if you're Felt, keep your tower safe, and you find some kills that you desperately need.
Yeah, and, well, you got a rat in the midst, you know. Nick's chilling here, cutting your wave. He actually doesn't have a TP. They'll click on him and see he doesn't have a TP, so this is actually it should be a free kill once the Razor's alive. I think that's why Nick is, yeah. This is actually very smart from Nick. I'm actually very impressed right now. Making his way all the way to the enemy shop because he knows his courier's not going to make it. But this is a race against time. Oh, wait, this is getting close.
He just took a step too far to the south. They spotted him, pinged him. Now they see him with the courier. Nick going to get the TP. He's looking for it. Can they get him? Yes, they can. Right in this area. Just gets that little bit too close to the tower and the racks, and they spot him out. But over on the other side of the map, well, Shinra, he's in a very precarious position here. He's going to try to pop the Bloodstone. That's not nearly enough to keep him alive. And 5RAT, this is perfect for them. They say, okay, fine, you caught Lil Nick. That's fine, but we're going to go looking for your other cores. But now they got to be careful. Yeah, DNM's going to pop the song. They're going to just pull back because the rest of Feld were arriving. And honestly, I think you're okay with that. If Lil Nick goes down there, that sucks, but you traded him out for the Leshrax, and DNM just walks away.
Yeah, continues the farm. If he scouts at this illusion rune, he'll be even more farmed, even more pleased with his game. But you know, all set up by Nick. Nick somehow killed the Leshrac by, you know, being TP-less in the worst place of the map that he could have possibly been in. But you know, makes you think. But yeah, this illusion rune on DNM, having 5 illusions out on the map at all times, it's just incredible what he's going to be able to do. And at the same time, the Silver Edge is going to be brutal. It's going to allow him to slink in and out of those fights. It's going to give him that damage to actually kill off a lot of these heroes, and especially onto Zor. You know, on top though, Shinra, it's a lot of damage.
Able to get himself in onto Giant. Nice, easy pick off there. So, well, the Leshrac's still coming along quite nicely, right? The Bloodstone couldn't save him in that previous engagement, but he does still have it. It's obviously going to be an asset for him, and now his teammates, they're on the prowl. 3-man smoke, moving through the river. What can they find, though? Nico, yeah, he's just going to be able to jump away, so they turn their attention onto Nick. Sucking away that damage with the Link, and yeah, there's no way the DK gets out of here. He was trying to create enough time and space to get the Blink Dagger off, but not going to happen, and okay, ET, we're seeing Felt maybe stringing some plays together here. A little bit of hope for them, but you still need to be able to put pressure onto the Naga Siren.
Yeah, and not just the Naga, but it's just how easily they're able to move onto objectives, I think, is the real issue right now. They never have a chance to go into the pit unless that Naga's dead, but Ozor, They need to break it up. Nice.
Avalanche there. Toss throwing Albino Zebra back in. They're finding that kill, but this is still a lot of damage. The illusions coming in from the Naga Siren are actually starting to break him up. Afromausch gets taken down. Now the song. Do they actually want to do this, though? Nico says, no, not really. He's just going to TP himself home. DNM. The timing was maybe slightly off there, but he was not stunned up before he gets away. So it's a support for a support trade, which doesn't seem so bad on paper for 5RAT, but song's down. That's a 2-minute cooldown, and Felt, yeah, look at them start angling towards the Roche pit, realizing we have a little bit more space to work with now because DNM doesn't have that get-out-of-jail-free card.
Yeah, it's the one tool that they really couldn't afford to give up. The Curse of Avernus, the Nether Toxin. This is going to be in time, though. These illusions are going to scout it out. They really need to body the pit right now.
Little Nick jumping in. Shinra, though, is going to be able to get the Aegis, and now you're 5RAT. You don't want to be here, but they stunned up the Ember. Nico couldn't jump away. They're going to take him down. They're in on the Giant now as well, and this is kind of best-case scenario. If you're Felt, you go for Roche. You are able to bait your opponents in. They don't steal anything from you, and you still find 3 kills, and there was no sort of emergency, panicky, someone has to grab the Aegis. You got it onto the Lesh, so I mean, everything kind of coming up perfectly for them, and all of that because DNM doesn't have Song.
Yep, it's as simple as that. It's how kind of restricted they are by their teamfight tools, and not to mention how fast they push. They've got the action. They've got the left check. They're going to push onto your buildings, and no chance for split push either. This is the wave that they're riding. A wave that they started, it feels like 5 minutes ago, but it's still continuously working. And Zor, I think getting his BKB, he just didn't die, I think is the big difference here. He gets gripped, he gets all these spells cast on him, he gets his BKB off halfway through the fight, doesn't die, it's just perfect. While at the same time, I think Nick is the one who's really far behind in this game. Doesn't have a BKB yet of his own. Looking over at Nico as well, we're not seeing him farming nearly as much as he was on that Queen of Pain. I think that's where I think 5RATFORCESTAFF almost sorely missing that CK type hero that DNM was playing before, where he was showing up to a lot of these fights. DNM has really kind of slowed the team around him, and in doing so, you feel almost rubber banded. You feel kind of caught up with their items, and Smoke, it feels a little bit desperate, if I'm being honest, on 5RATFORCESTAFF. They want to lead in with another grip on an overexposed target, but they're just rock solid on Felt.
Okay. Smoke popped. Shinra. He's feeling pretty confident to push forward because he's got 2 lives to work with. DNM just trying to get away. His teammates rapidly sort of trying to shift over, trying to keep him alive here because they can't really afford to lose him. DNM, he doesn't want to use the song right now, but he may not have a choice. Maybe the Invis gets him away, and looks like for now, yes, that is going to be enough, but only because Albino Zebra just steps in to make sure no one's chasing after his buddy. He is going to eat the death here. Little Nick, meanwhile, gets picked off back in the north side jungle, and oh, they're just starting to feel quite a bit more confident at this point, and Giant, he's got a TP, could honestly, yeah, could just leave right now. Zor can't kill him, can't cancel that TP, so should be just fine, but they're starting to lose more and more, and ET, you really sort of hit the nail on the head. Nick is not able to contribute a whole lot here with this sort of stunted item progression.
Yeah, and I think that's where 5RATFORCESTAFF really are faltering. I think it begins and ends with the Naga Siren. I think that perhaps they overextended. They played like they had another hero in a lot of situations, and we're seeing them honestly a lot more scared and not having the tools to actually make those proper mid-game team fights happen. It feels like they're struggling right now in pretty much every single way, and no matter what item I think both the DK and the Ember Spirit build up, it's just coming at such a slow pace, of course, compared to the Naga Siren, but that's the effect of the Naga Siren. DNM is getting every single wave. He's getting at least 2 at all times, which just means there's simply no space. And even though Nico is taking the most dangerous farm on the map, and certainly not getting punished necessarily for it, it just is not enough. I think that's where their lineup, which is very farm intensive, at least around certain parts of the game, just isn't finding what they need to. At least there's going to be a Deso in just a bit here, but a nice kill on Azor would be great, but I think Pingu's here in time, or no, it's Afromoosh.
He's able to get in there, breaks up the Fiend's grip. Zebra, is he actually going to get away? He's just TPing out, and yeah, alright. They get their hero out of there, but look at Shinra. Prowl, see if he can find anything. He's trying to track DNM, but he's really not that fast compared to the Naga Siren. So DNM should walk away, and well, if you're 5-Rat, you got everybody out there, but you were really hoping you could get that sort of quick and easy Fiend's Grip initiation, and it's just broken up by the Tiny. If they don't have Alpha Mash's position sort of accounted for, then really can't make that attempt anymore.
Yeah, feels a little bit rough. Feels a little bit sad right now. At least Nick is back to his hidey hole in the top lane, you know, able to cut waves with the fireball, the uh, inevitable use of every single Dragon Knight. DNM's in a very similar position here with the Silver Edge he's been able to build up, but the longer DNM can stay out on the map, it feels like we are in that kind of boring game of Dota, though, where the name of the game is simply dodge. Wait out this Aegis. It will be expiring in just a few seconds here, but it's just a matter of time, I think, before we see Felt get that huge team fight. Not to mention, it's been very quiet from Solji in this entire game. I mean, 029 is not the most stylistic stat line, but at the same time, he's got everything he needs. He's incredibly strong if a team fight does actually break out, and I think that's where 5RATFORCESTAFF still can't afford to take a full 5-man fight. They still lose if this Razor just runs down 2 people.
Yeah, they've still just got to show that respect, because Solji, as you said, he has been quiet, but he's quietly been sort of building up, so
Huge smoke.
let's see if they can find anything here wrapping their way around. Well, that's not really the target they were hoping for, but might just have to go for the kill that they know they can get, and yeah, Albino Zebra, he's been doing it all game long. ET just steps in and eats the death, and his teammates are going to be just fine.
At the same time, even though the split push is working, and it certainly is, and it should just be a song.
But he doesn't have a TP, and Solji popped the BKB, so he's going to continue to chase. And DNM, there's no way out. He just can't do anything. He's going to get taken down here. Now he's got the TP up, but by that point, he's already dead. He just gets a little bit too far forward. Didn't think the Razor would be close enough, and yeah. Voice line's sort of saying it all there. That's a mistake that they can ill afford right now, and Nico pops the BKB, and he will jump away, but it's a BKB charge being forced out. Minimum duration now for Nico.
God, they're such rats. I know that's the name of the team, but still, this is almost bordering on nonsensical. They just simply will not fight Felt, no matter the situation. And they do have an opening here where Solji will only have one Eye of the Storm, one BKB, but I honestly think we'll probably see the game settle where 5RATFORCESTAFF are back to these split push positions. They keep on getting their TPs forced, and sure, Felt got wise on the Naga once there, but they don't get the Ember, they don't get the DK, their 2 lanes are still out. I don't know, this is a very strange way to win the game, but I guess that's where 5RATFORCESTAFF really, they're just terrified of the fight, and a fight that I certainly don't think they can make. But even look at DNM, who is solo smoking out of the base to reestablish control with the illusions. It's a very strange game so far.
Yeah, not really looking like what we're sort of used to at this point, but we'll see how it goes with the pace slowing down. Good news for the side of 5RATFORCESTAFF is that Lil Nick does now finally have that BKB, so it's been a long time coming for him, but he's got it picked up. Still don't think that's enough for them to say, hey, let's go take a 5-man, but at least they now have the option available to them, and it comes around the time when we started talking about duration being low for the other heroes, right? Nico's is down to 6. There isn't one on the Naga Siren at all, so the Ember Spirit can maybe now lean on his teammate a little bit more to soak up some more attention if they are forced into these fights.
Yeah, and, you know, it felt like it was a moment of desperation maybe for DNM, but the smoke really tripped them up bottom. The kill squad bottom was just not able to pin down where this Naga was actually getting these illusions out, and in doing so has honestly wasted a whole bunch of time. Not to mention, we finally get the verdict on that Roche timer, and it will be the longest possible Roche timer, a fact that, to be honest, very heavily favors 5RATFORCESTAFF. The team that does not want to fight is not going to be forced into a fight for a very long time, and I think even more so delays the third Roche, because that Roche is the important one. That's where you get a free refresher shard. That's where you have 3 Razor ultis. That's where you have an Aghanim Scepter finished up on the Viper, and the game gets very hard. But Soji.
Uh-oh, they caught him. I was watching them try and track down the Ember. Once they realize there's 3 heroes going after that Ember Spirit, they try for the kill, but they don't have the damage. Solji just turns around. Pops a refresher, pops a BKB, throws an ult out there, and he's just fine. Gets a kill onto Albino Zebra. Again, it's a Bane. You're going to be okay with sacrificing him, but that's not the important thing here. The important thing was they thought they had a kill, and they should have. They really had the Razor seemingly dead to rights, but they just can't bring him down.
God, you want to know some crazy little Dota timing there? That was his 7-second BKB. Grip's a 6-second duration. If that was his latest BKB, it would have been probably a dead Razor. He would have just gone down there, but it lasts just a little bit too long. They don't get the kill. Everything goes kind of south side up. There's no lane to push. You know, the split push is still there. They're still doing a great job of dodging that fight, but hey, it's just forced aggression. And 5RATFORCESTAFF, they need to find those plays, but man, oh man, this game is getting a little bit monotonous. I also don't think that they're necessarily winning it right now. They really are kind of falling behind everyone, especially level-wise, because the problem with this Naga Siren hero, you look over at DNM, he's level 18 because he's not killing the creeps. He's not killing these waves. He is getting really hard starved for experience. Meanwhile, you look over at the Viper, you look over at the Leshrac, they are there for every kill. They are going to be looking at 25s. They're going to be looking for those huge advantages to hold over you. And I mean, Lesh is probably the biggest one, but once you have that Edict, any fight, anytime you force out Glyph, it's just a huge deal. Meanwhile, on the top lane, though, again, look at all these heroes just hiding on the sidelines. And AB1, poor guy.
Oh, okay. Tried for the TP, immediately canceled, but yeah, I am starting to sort of get that feeling, as you were saying, they are buying a lot of time, but it's not time where they're holding even, like you were saying. It's time where they're starting to fall further and further behind, and so you look a little bit better for heroes like the Naga Siren, but that hole keeps getting that little bit deeper every minute as we go on, and are the items you're picking up on these heroes going to be enough to definitively allow you to overcome that gap? Right now, it's not really certain, especially with Felt going after Roshan. They're pushing into the pit here, Aegis as well as a Shard, both available, and yeah, 5RAT, I don't even think they know this is happening. Even if they did, they wouldn't reach it in time.
Yeah, gonna give the Aegis, gonna give the Shard over to Shinra. Just makes sense, but yeah, and again, for me, it comes back to XP. It comes back to what they're actually able to do. They actually aggressively glyph because they want this top creep wave. They want to get onto the high ground now, and with the cart, well, the cart's not so healthy, and they might just get glyphed into losing their wave here, but the stakes are high. The stakes are there now. All of this damage is going to be realized as soon as that glyph is forced out from the Radiant side, and again, at the same time, the Naga's not ready. He's not 20. He's not even close to 25. So when this fight actually comes, is this BKB going to be enough? Is his final item choices going to be what changes the game here? Because I'm looking at an AC, Refresher, BKB Viper, or Razor, and I'm looking at Shinra, who has no reason to leave this high ground. It's just a Rax.
And they're basically going to get it for free, and 5RAT, they just don't want this fight. Maybe it felt split up a little bit too much here, rotating mid, but not going to be the case. They can't really break them up significantly. The second lane of Rax will be taken as well. Now they're going to go in on to the Enchantress. BKB, though, will keep Giant alive and in the fight, but they need more. Ember tries to push in. Disarmed, though, not going to be able to get the damage in initially. Lil Nick now tries to blink in the Dragon form, but it's not enough now. DNM, he's getting blown up. He's got to pop the Song of the Siren, but it's just not enough. Solji, he didn't care. Even with the Fiend's Grip on him, they still find the kill. DNM will buy back. But at this point, buying back really for what? There's no fight. Felt do everything that they wanted. They back off with no casualties, and that may have just been sort of a really back-breaking play.
Yeah, I mean, I'm waiting. I'm looking now. I'm kind of seeing across the board. And I think that's where, yeah,
Nope. Okay.
DNM doesn't want to play anymore. I wouldn't want to either. I think they really made a grave misstep in this game. They were playing so well whenever they were killing Zor constantly top lane, not losing their mid tower. For the longest time, it felt like their defense was impenetrable, that there wasn't that aggression coming in from Felt. And the aggression didn't even come from Felt until we saw, I want to say maybe 2 or 3 minutes after the Blink Dagger picked up on the Tiny, but they just never fought, ever. They just didn't feel like they had the tools. And again, they just lost speed. They lost ground. I think the huge issue in this game is they just never found that opening, I want to say, onto the Razor. They never got that BKB. It never felt like 5RATFORCESTAFF had a threat big enough to force something substantial out of Felt. And in turn, everything was getting forced constantly. They were never looking for a fight. I feel like we didn't see a team fight for 15 minutes. Once 5RATFORCESTAFF decided they were losing the game, they needed items, they needed to look back for things. And I think specifically with Nick and Nico, that worked for the first 15, 20 minutes. But it really felt like they had a different hero from the safe one in this game. The way that Ember and the way that DK were playing, it was as if that Naga Siren was another CK. That's what
Right.
it literally feels like. It feels like that was going to be the difference maker. That DNM was going to show up with an armlet and an orchid, and he was going to kill and going to clean up the heroes. They just weren't playing that same battle heavy style. And I mean, Yoko Red Nico, 6-1 and 6. It's not like he did anything really substantially wrong in this game, but he ran out of damage. He ran out of tools and felt just kind of outlasted him. And then when DNM, it's time, they call him up, it's time to fight, we gotta go. He's just not there. And it really comes back to that first Roche, I think, where the game really just kind of turned on its head.
Yeah, and it's one part DNM sort of not being on a hero who was ready as early, and the other part, Little Nick plays that DK again, and in game one, they didn't really care too much about his lane, right? They were sort of pseudo sacrificing him. There was nothing pseudo about this one. Nick got sacked in this game, and it hurt them more than it did the last time around because he wasn't able to bounce back. He wasn't able to find enough pickoffs to sort of account for the lack of farm, right? So we talked about his Blink Dagger not coming up in time. He had to just go the Naked Boots route for it as well. And just when, as you were saying, Nico starts to run out of damage, you would look to the DK to sort of pick up the slack. He wasn't able to, so now that pressure compounds onto DNM, who also couldn't hit the timings.
Yeah, and honestly, I think what's interesting to see, and of course, it's hard to poke fingers at one player, but with how similar a lineup they had to game one, you kind of starkly have it imprinted in your mind. But they were just missing that guy. They were missing that person to come in, win the fight. Not to mention, DNM also did go for a very fightless build. He never looked around for the diffusal blade. We saw him rush the Scotty, and hey, he had a Scotty in an incredible timing here. But I think lacking those fighting tools just kind of ended up losing the game for his team. I think if we see a diffusal, we see an orchid, we see something built up to allow him to actually punish these heroes post the fight. We never saw in this game Song reinitiate. We always saw Song retreat, TP back, split the lanes, cut the waves. And I think that's where Felt just kind of said, hey, if you're not going to fight us, cool. We're going to farm everything, and then we're going to kill you. And that's what they did.
Well, said Felt needed to make some adjustments after kind of getting smacked around in game one. This certainly felt like a sizable shift in their strategy, and it pays off. So now the pressure shifts onto 5RATFORCESTAFF. You were able to win that first game. You looked pretty damn good doing it, but now you've been sort of given a bloody nose a little bit with this game two loss. And obviously, there's still the lower bracket for whatever team loses, but that's not the mindset that you want to be in whatsoever. You would love to remain in that upper bracket for as long as possible. So 5RAT are going to have to make some changes. We'll see if they go for that sort of DK Enchantress opening again. That's been sort of the bread and butter for them through the first two. So do they go for it again? Do they try to shake things up? Not really sure. Game three will provide the answers, and it's going to be about 5 to 10 minutes away here. So we will be stepping away for a moment, take a short break, and be back for the final game of this series and the final game of the day. So stick around. We'll be back for game three.